This is the InfoBlips Podcast Network production. Today's date is June 23rd, 2024.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the weekly wrap-up with John and Yancey. My name is John Haynes, and I'm here without my co-host and friend, Yancey Seals. Hey, listen, guys, today's date is the 23rd of June, and again, I'm still on the West Coast. I'll be heading back to the East Coast shortly. I did speak with Yancey a little bit earlier, but today was a kind of a short notice, so I'm pretty sure he will be with me on our next taping. But there's a couple of things I want to talk about, and that's kind of important. It's been on my heart, and I want to make sure that I am very clear about the information that I give. As you know, if most of you who know me, I look for verifiable factual information. That irritates some people. Just the term VFI irritates some people. But basically, I look for information that's been verified through reputable sources. And I'm not talking, I mean, people who have years, multi-years of being credible, of sources that are credible. And I also take into effect that, if they lean left, if they lean right, I take that into effect. But the facts don't lean left or right. The facts will always bring you to what is happening and what we consider the truth. So that being said, I look for things, I look to answer things and not to cause irritation or cause problems. It's just that when there's so much disinformation going on, and then I look at it and I see and I listen to well-meaning people that basically receiving faulty, flawed, or deceptive information. There'll be a kernel of truth in it, and then the rest of it would be nothing but conjecture. So when on this show, on the weekly wrap up, you'll know when we say, hey, this is my conjecture. This is what I think about it. This is a commentary part. I want to start this with this past week, we celebrated Juneteenth. And a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions about what that is. I've talked to people, I put a questionnaire online, people think it's about, it's the day that slavery was free, it's the day that the Indians freed their slaves, it's the slave, that neither one of those are true. Neither one of those are factual. The only reason why Juneteenth is being celebrated is because 2 years after 2 years after Abraham Lincoln gave the Proclamation of Emancipation, there was a ship of military people that pulled into Galveston Harbor. Information didn't travel at the speed of light like it does now. And they informed the people there that, slavery was illegal or it had been outlawed. And at that point, people began to celebrate. So they decided to call it Juneteenth. Full stop. That's it. That's all it is. It's all it is. It wasn't the freedom of slaves. It wasn't any of that. And if you look it up through reputable sources, they'll tell you that. Now they're going to explain, they're going to go into the left leaning and the right leaning and all the conspiratorial crap. But that's all it is. That's all it was. There was nothing more than that. Because information didn't travel as fast as it did. And you think about this right now, if somebody says something, we know about it at the same time they say it, it's milliseconds later. Back then, there was no type of communication like that. So it was basically done by word of mouth. So 2 years later, when the people in Texas didn't know in Galveston, when the ship went in, hey, you guys knew that, slavery has been outlawed? Oh, really? You're kidding me. Not that it made any difference to the people in Texas, but still. And then some of the people began to celebrate. Now, that did not end slavery. And there are variations of slavery. And again, I'll get pushback on that. Physical slavery is one thing. Mental slavery is another whole story. And there has never been an emancipation of mental slavery in this country. However, let me move forward. And so when we talk about things like that, it brings division. People get, oh man, they didn't free the slaves, and then people get angry and angry. My question to everyone is, why are we so angry? I remember a time when we would, my friends on the left and on the right and in the middle, we would go to a bar in Hawaii. We would go to a bar on whatever day and sit down and buy rounds of drinks and discuss politics. We didn't agree, but we would discuss politics, and we'd laugh and we joke and we eat and we'd have, a great time. Sometimes you learn something, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you get angry, but you let it go because it's something that you do, right? Nowadays, you don't find that. Nowadays, if we're being manipulated to the point where there's so much hate and anger that if I don't agree with you, you are my enemy and I hate you and you must die. I it's beyond me. It's just beyond me. So there's no more civil discourse. And I said for a long time the art of conversation in the United States and America is gone. I said that 30 years ago. And they started destroying the art of conversation because in the art of conversation, there's give and take. You don't listen to someone speaking to anticipate a response. You listen to understand what they're saying. Okay. And then you respond if you have something to respond. At least that's the way I see it. That's what I do. I've learned to pick and choose my responses depending on my audience. I mean, sometimes you don't respond. You just sit there and listen. Maybe that's all that's needed at the time. So that way I can fully understand where the information is being given. And then I can go and research and see whether it's right or whether it's factual. VFI, my friend Sparks, Leland Sparks, a long time ago, I guess about 5 years ago, I showed him this graphic where I said verifiable factual information. Information is going to become a key part of our society. Verifiable information is going to become a key part of our society. And in this moving forward, in this election series, not just the election series, but in everything else, we're going to have verifiable factual information. And that's just coming from more than one place, coming from more than 2 or 3 places. The dates have to be right. Everything has to be correct. And it takes a lot of work. You don't just read something and then repost it, as being factual, as being true, I got this from AP and this is true. No, if I get it from AP, I got to look, I have to look at several different other places. Now, AP is one of the standards that I would choose over someplace like Newsmax or even CNN. But, because I put those in the same boat. But, then there's different other intelligence groups that I belong to that you can actually get information from. While we're discussing this, to me, one of the most important things that's happening right now to this date is that we have 2 astronauts that are stranded in space right now. Yeah. 2024. We have 2 astronauts that are stranded in space. Let me look at their names. Butch Williams and Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams. Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams are stranded at the United States at the ISS space station, International Space Station. Well, why are they stranded? Why are they stranded, John? Well, this goes back to a situation that we talk about a lot, and especially I talk about a lot. It's the Boeing Starliner. I don't talk about the Boeing Starliner aircraft a lot, but I talk about the results of why they're being stranded. In their flight up there, the inaugural flight, after about 10 years of delays, I think it was 10 years. I could be wrong at that one point, but it was after years of delays. Boeing finally, allowed the Starliner. It finally took off, right, carrying Butch Wilmore and Suni Williams to the ISS. Okay, so during that flight, they found out there was helium leaks, right? All kind of different helium leaks, all kind of different problems that they had. Now, understand this is something that has been delayed year after year after year for them to actually perfect. You got two people getting ready to fly that's being, shot to the International Space Station. Now, once they get there, they find out, hey, well, we can't go back because of these helium leaks. So they supposedly worked out something according to their engineer. We're going to work something out. Okay. So they're working out something. Meanwhile, they had 45 days docking at the ISS and then their window closes. Now, I don't know what happens after that. you know, I don't know whether they stay up there and wait for the next round or if they just die in space. I have no idea. However, the engineers at Boeing are working on the problem. And the reason why I say it like that is because of corrupt corporate capitalism. And that is exactly what's happening at Boeing. That is the reason why we have these problems. Okay. Because instead of honoring their contract that they got with NASA, they sublet the contract. They hired, other people. Basically, they let the bean counters, the people who actually run the corporation, they let them and made them in charge of production and made them in charge of actually building the spacecraft, which is terrible because bean counters, and I've known them, I've worked for them, they don't care about anything other than their goal. And they will mitigate a death. If they would say, okay, well, two people who died, it's going to cost us X amount of money. How old were they? Okay, so the insurance company will probably say this. So they will work out a mitigation plan already in their works to say, okay, if these people die, then hey, this is what we'll do. But meanwhile, we are going to make the money that we are supposed to make in order to keep us fat and happy, to keep our shareholders fat and happy. Corrupt corporate capitalism. When you allow bean counters to be in control of just about everything, right? You will have corruption because people that greed, just like Gordon Gekko in the movie Wall Street, I think it was, said greed for lack of a better word. It's addictive. It's worse than a drug. You ask someone who has under the spell of greed, how much you can have $1 billion and you ask them, how much is enough? One more dollar. How much is enough? One more dollar. I mean, it's never enough for these people, and they will do anything, unscrupulous things. I mean, just think of all the poisons that's in our food system that is not in any other food system in the world, by the way. Now they're going to say, oh, it's the liberal this, it's the liberal. Come on, give me a break. Look, it's because we don't give restrictions on these people because we can't put restrictions on them. You can't do that, not a corporation. Are you kidding me? But people will complain about the poison in the food. They'll complain about the system, how we're allowed to put so much junk in our system. And it has nothing to do with liberalism or conservatism. It has to do with corrupt corporate capitalism. These people have lobbyists and they pay our well, I call them politicians now, because they're not politicians. These people are not politicians. These people are just politricksters. They make as much money as they can on the side, and they'll do whatever they can in order to help the corporation that's funding their campaign. So anyway, I know I kind of jumped around a lot, but that's just where I'm at. There's just so much happening right now. And I urge you guys, I really seriously urge you, be selective about where you get your information from. Okay. It's not important to me what you believe, and it's really not important to me what you believe at all. It's important to me what the information that I put out. There's just so much misinformation that's made to look factual. And when you read something and you just all of a sudden believe it or you don't do any research on it, you don't know if it's true nowadays, and especially with AI. Now, I love AI. Let's get this straight right now. I like AI. I think AI is going to be something that's a game changer. It's a leveler. I think it's going to be good for society. it can be also dangerous. It's like everything else. Like a computer. Computer's great unless you're hacking. If you're hacking, then it's not great. There's a yin and a yang for everything. Everything has a good and a bad. It depends on what we use it for. It depends on what we use it for. I learned something the other day that was it was impressive about being distracted by, sports events, being distracted about political events, being distracted, about just watching TV and allowing the programmers that program TV program your brain. And I learned a lot about how we as people don't really understand that and how we fall susceptible to being controlled. Our thought patterns being controlled, our anger being controlled. And if we have chaos in this society, in the United States, the people that create that chaos is going to be in control. My whole existence now is to have an organization that helps people to be able to operate in whatever environment that's thrown at us. Because that's all that it really matters to me, is that my family is able to survive in whatever's being thrown at us. Because I can't change it. Now, us together as a group can, but we're not going to do that because we're being so separated. There's a term I heard the other day: if they didn't want to be sheared, why did God make them sheep? I mean, so because we are so angry and at each other, and Black people have a different situation, psychological situation, that we don't trust each other, and especially even like with this program, people won't trust it because I'm Black, or secondly, because they think they know me. They think they know, oh, that's the guy that talks politics all the time. That's not what I do all the time. I know I'm a jack of all trades. I know a little bit, about a lot of stuff. Anyway, so I'm gonna end this here for right now. Those are two things. Think about that really seriously. Think about the astronauts that are stuck in space right now, and the corrupt capitalism that's keeping them there. And if they die there, that's on us. That is on us. This whole thing with the corporate, what is it called? I'm trying to think of what it's called. It's corporate government projects. Basically just when the corporation is allowed to run the mathematics or run the bean counters, to run the actual accounting, it always winds up where there's a problem. Shortfalls, people hired that shouldn't be hired, companies that things outsourced all over the place. And you wind up with this type of thing, with this type of situation. And we allow that as people in the United States. We allow that because we will not put restrictions on corporations, because it somehow interrupts the free market, which is a joke. Which we'll get into that later. The free market is a freaking joke. If there was a free market, half these companies wouldn't even be existing right now, because they all receive welfare. In a free market, if you can afford to be in business, you're in business. If you're not, then you're not. Anyway, listen, guys, I'm gonna get out of here right now. I will talk to you soon. I will talk with Yancy, and we'll get back at you guys sometime this week. Take care of yourselves, and we'll talk to you later.
This has been an InfoBlips Podcast Network production. Please send inquiries to infoblips@activist.com.